Hi! In this video, I'll be going through one question from our 3B workbook, page 140 on the area and perimeter, the question under problem solving. As with all word problems, let's practice the raised steps. I'll write it right at the side here. And you have noticed in my previous videos, particularly for this chapter, I'm fond of making copies of the same question and doing some craft work. I think cutting this out and doing some tracing, especially because this is a chapter on area and perimeter, which requires us to have a good ability to visualize shapes. Okay, let's go through the question, reading the question, going through the R step in our race. The figure below is made up of 4 identical rectangles. The breadth of the rectangle is 2 centimeters. What is the perimeter of the figure? I've read it once, let me read it again. The figure below is made up of 4 identical rectangles. The breadth of the rectangle is 2 centimeters. What is the perimeter of the figure? Okay, I've read the question twice. Now, a very important part is whenever you see a question that asks you the figure, can you see the figure? That's the first step you need to realize. What is the figure? Can I see the figure? So over here, we are talking about this shape being made up of 4 identical rectangles. So I've made the same copy of the question, of the shape here at the right side. I've deleted the lines inside and just leaving the outline of the whole shape here. That's the figure we are talking about. This is the figure we're talking about. So I've taken out the inside and see that, and you can see this plain outline of the shape here. That's the figure. So this question is saying that there's this figure on the right side where I've taken out the inside here. This shape here is made up of 4 identical rectangles here. Okay, and as with the previous questions, we say identical means the same, exactly the same rectangles. Rectangles that share the same property. Okay, and we are not given the length. We are given only the breadth, the short side of the rectangle being 2 centimeters, as indicated. And we need to find the perimeter of the figure. So the outside of the figure. So that is the one we're talking about. Is I trace with my orange highlighter over here. And for this side here, I will also trace the outline so that that's the original question, and you can do the same in your own workbook. Okay, and to help you to see this better, I'm going to snip the shape now. Cut it out to show you the 4 rectangles. See here, I'll cut this one first. Okay, 1, 3 more here. Okay, so I have cut out my rectangles. They are supposedly identical. In fact, they are exactly the same, because that's what the question is talking about. 4 identical rectangles. 4 identical rectangles. So you can see I can form back the same design over here, right? Okay, and that's how that figure is obtained here. So if you're a person who's fond of playing tangrams, you probably will be a master in solving area parameter questions, because tangrams solving tangram puzzles requires you to have this exceptional skill of visualization and composing figures. So as you see here, I can put it back in here. So that's how this figure is obtained. So we want to ask ourselves what's the outline and how I can find it out. And you can see here the 4 exact rectangles, they all have the same properties, same length and same breadth. But what is given in this question? The given measurement in this question is only the short side, that's 2 centimeters. And that's good enough to solve the entire question. And that's because you are able to understand that 4 of these rectangles, they are exactly the same. And one important clue here is, what is the length of each rectangle? And that important clue is here. Can you see that? So I can actually answer the questions on the left side here. What is the breadth of the figure? The short side, I don't know. I need to find. And what is the length of the figure? I'm not asking about the rectangle, it's asking about the figure. So asking for here and here. This is the length, which is not given. The breadth, which is also not given. So I need to find these two measurements. And eventually I'm asked to find the parameter. Okay, so this is helping you to understand what the question is asking about. So it asks you to analyze the parts and whole for each side of the figure, the length and the breadth. So looking at what I've cut out here. Okay, the first, I think, side everybody can find is this short side because it's labeled for you. So each rectangle here, the short side are stacked on this side. The 3 rectangles here stacked, and you can find one side of the shape, the figure. You add them up, you get 6 centimeters. And that's the short side of the figure. So you have the answer for the first question, that's 6 centimeters. The breadth of the figure is 6 centimeters. So the next thing you need to find is the length. Here. Right? And with one rectangle here, can you see that? This rectangle is standing upright, particularly in this manner. I can slide it over. Can you see? The length is also given. So in other words, this side is 6. With the similar concept of understanding the properties of a rectangle, the 2 short sides being the same, the long sides being the same, you can see that this is also 6. In other words, I can label each rectangle here, short side being 2 centimeters, long side being 6 centimeters. See? And as a result, I'm able to find that this is 2 centimeters, 6 centimeters, and I can get 8 centimeters altogether. See? Right? So in other words, it's 8 centimeters here. So the parameter of the figure will be 6 centimeters, a short side, plus 8 centimeters, the long side, plus 6 centimeters, another short side, and 8 centimeters, another long side. Will give me a total of 28 centimeters. Okay, So this is one method. If you look on the next page here, it brings us to the understanding of unit squares, which, moving on to the next part, which is just telling us how we can actually cut this shape here further into smaller units. Right, so I can use this other method to check. See, check. Or for some of us, you find that this method helps you better. You can use this method to solve, and the other method to help you to check. So in other words, originally this shape looks like that. I'm going to push this back up so that you can see it better. Yep, exactly the same figure. But what it's suggesting here is you cut it up. So I can chop that, because I know that I can chop this, see, into 3 little 2 unit squares, 2 centimeter squares. So it's 1 unit square, 2 unit square, 3 unit square. So I can cut this rectangle into 3 squares here, each square being 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter. So I can actually cut the figure into squares of side 2 centimeter. So first I chop this, okay, into smaller squares, and I can chop the other one into smaller squares. Don't forget this side. And there you go. You are able to see or find out all sides of the figure. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Alright. Okay, so I'm chopping it up. So in other words, I can actually just snip it along this line. Okay. So this rectangle, okay, I'm going to flip this over so you can see it. Okay, here. And I snip it. Okay. Along the line. And I snip it along the line. See? So I cut that one rectangle into 3 smaller squares. This one as well, I can cut it into 3 smaller squares. See? In fact, I can cut all of them into smaller squares, into unit squares like that. So in the same way, asking for the perimeter of the figure, I can count starting from this end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So the perimeter of the figure is made up of 14 units. Okay, or 14 sides of a small tiny square, times each side of the square being 2 centimeters. I'll get 28 centimeters as well. Okay, so that's the solution to this problem here. You can use either methods to solve the question. I've done my reading and notations. You can choose either method to solve, either method to check. Finally, evaluate your steps and see if you are done. Complete the working. See, I'm checking now to make sure that I've completed everything necessary, as well as written in my correct units. That is my E steps. And that is it for this question on page 140 and 141 of the workbook 3B on area and perimeter. Thank you.